they use their serotonin system, at least in part, to keep track of their dominance position. I would think about this, because I'll tell you what it is that you need to do to be successful. Some of these things aren't so malleable, but others are things that you can work on. Well, IQ, well, that's a rough one, because there's no evidence, as far as I can tell, that you can do a damn thing about your IQ. I was just reading a paper by Dan Simon today. It's a relatively recent review. Dan Simon did the Invisible Gorilla stuff, and he was looking, because there's all these companies that claim that these online brain training exercises can produce cognitive improvements, and he reviewed the literature again. And I've reviewed that literature like 6 times in the last 15 years, because I keep hoping that someone will crack the problem, but it's always the same answer. It's like, you do brain training games, you get better at the game, a lot better at that game. You get slightly better at similar games, but distal games that are still heavily cognitively loaded doesn't affect your performance at all. Zero. None. So the issue of how to raise IQ, man, that's a killer. No one knows how to do it. I can tell you how to stop your IQ from decreasing as you get older. That's not so bad, because it does that. Fluid IQ decreases from the time you're 20 and pretty rapidly. It's physical health is the best preventative. So exercise. Physical exercise.
While there isn't anything you can necessarily do to give yourself a higher IQ, you can certainly learn to have a stronger mind. Even though you can't raise it, you can prevent your IQ from dropping as you age. The answer isn't necessarily challenging your brain, it's challenging your body. Physical exercise pumps oxygen to your brain, keeping you from losing that all-important brain function well into your later years. In addition to a healthy body, find something that you are interested in and pursue it. We don't get to choose what interests we have, but they are given to us for a reason. The most important thing is that you allow yourself to chase those ideas and allow yourself to explore them. If you don't, you may very well regret it later on, and you'll know the only person you can blame for it is yourself. Maybe it's your job that is holding you back mentally. If you are unhappy with what you do, ask yourself the question, how can I make my life better? Instead of how can I be a better employee? You'll find that when you consider your lifelong goals, you'll see a much bigger improvement in your life than simply developing a business plan. If you can align those goals with what you do for work, you'll be more motivated than ever in your job. Possibly one of the most important things you can do is to seek a quality education, not just to land yourself a job, but to become a more aware and articulate person. Speech is a powerful tool, and when you can speak well and with authority, it affords you power to motivate everyone around you. Make your presence in the world a triumphant call to confidence, and do so with a strong will and a strong mind.
You can't make yourself interested in something. Interest manifests itself and grips you. That's a whole different thing. And so what is it that's gripping you? Well, it's divine as far as you're concerned, because it grips you and you can't do anything about it. And so there's a calling in you towards what you're compelled by and what you're interested in. And sometimes that might be very dark and sometimes not. But you're compelled forward by your interest. And so the idea that what moves you away from your country and your father's house and the comforts of your childhood home is something that's beyond you and that you listen to and hearken to. That's exactly right. It doesn't matter to what it is, what it's called. It still is. And if you don't listen to it, that's the other thing. If you don't listen to it, and I've been a clinician and talked to enough people now, as old as I am, to know this absolutely. If you do not listen to that thing that beckons you forward, you will pay for it like you cannot possibly imagine. You'll have everything that's terrible about life in your life and nothing about it that's good. And worse, you'll know that it was your fault and that you squandered what you could have had. So the plan would be, how can I become a better employee? And then you have half your employees do that, and the other half you have write out a different plan, which is, how can I put my life together properly? And then you wait a year and you measure the performance of the two groups. Is the people who make the life plan outperform the people who make the business plan? And that's really quite a stunning finding, really. It's not what you'd expect, and what it means is that if you're going to be effective at work, then you should first of all be effective in your life. And even more importantly, if you have a vision for the direction of your life and your job is serving that purpose, then instantly your job becomes motivating. Because you might be sitting there and thinking, well, why am I doing this? repetitive and rather dull task with these people that I'm not particularly interested in, you know, because every job has its maintenance element. It's like, oh yes, it's connected to this goal and this goal. It's like, and those goals are really worthwhile, like they're really worthwhile. And so that immediately imbues the act with significance. And that is motivation, technically. People are motivated when they're undertaking an act that's associated with a goal that they desire. Our understanding of that psychologically is very deep. We know the circuitry, we know the neurochemicals, we know the neurophysiology. The reason that you come to university to be educated is because there is nothing more powerful than someone who is articulate and who can think and speak. Power, and I mean power of the best sort. It's authority and influence and respectability and competence. And so you come to university to craft your highest skill, and your highest skill is to be found in articulated speech. And if you're a master at formulating your arguments, you win everything. And better than that, when you win everything, everyone around you wins too. Because to transform yourself into, let's consider your transformation into something approximating the logos, it means you shine a light on the whole world. Well, there's nothing more exciting to do than that. There's nothing better you can possibly do. And to think that you're coming to university to be, trained to have a job, it's like, great, that's a hell of a lot better than being unemployed and covered with Cheeto dust while you're snacking away in front of your video game in the basement. And I don't have anything against video games, by the way, but it's hardly a triumphant call to being in the world. And that's what university should be calling forth. It's like, God, you people, I know what Harvard students are like. I taught here for 5 years. You people are spectacular. You're spectacular. You're all capable of being world beaters. You transform yourself into something that's articulated and sensible and grounded in history and knowledgeable and wise, man. You can do anything you want, and hopefully anything you want for good.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.